How's it going? It's good to see everybody. Coffee with Clint. It's time. It is time. So, in one of the last segments I did, talked briefly about the 3 goals. I'm going to keep on hitting this. The 3 goals. The 1 physical, 1 emotional or mental well-being, and 1 spiritual focus that you can just goals that you can set for yourself, habits that you can put in place. And one of the ones that sticks out to me that's been beneficial for myself anyways, and I know it's been beneficial for other people, like it's in resources, it's not just something that I'm coming up with, but is taking the time to journal, but not just journal, do a gratitude journal or a gratitude list when you're journaling of things you're just grateful for. It changes your paradigm, it changes your perspective. So it's not just mental and emotional well-being, but it also can be spiritually beneficial too, because it puts you in a different state of mind, different state of being. It makes you more grateful to God for what He has given you and for what blessings you do have in your life. It makes you more grateful for people in your life. You have more grace with people. So yeah, it would just be sitting down and writing out things that stick out to you that you can be grateful for. And if you have to start with, I had food on the table this morning, like water, air, I woke up, like start with those things, but dive in a little deeper. Try to make it personalized to your life. For example, everybody on earth can be grateful for air. Everybody on earth can be grateful for food. These things we don't want to take for granted, but at the same time, for the gratitude journal and having those points of being able to be grateful for things, being able to be content in where you're at in life, take time to identify things specific to your life that you are thankful for, that it's yours, is something that God has given you. So that's something that I would say when we're talking about those three goals, as far as the emotional, and then kind of, like I said, it bleeds over to the spiritual health, I think, in that one, probably in the physical, like it changes things too, but especially for the emotional and mental health, that I've seen so much of that play out in different research that I've seen, and in my life whenever I put it into practice. I'm not always good at that, but when I am diligent in it, it shows. So yeah, one thing that I was wanting to talk about while we're here, while we're hanging out, while we're discussing things, and I was talking to somebody else about it recently, and multiple people, but it's something that I've been kind of rolling around in my head, is our culture has this concept of self-care and maintaining yourself and enriching yourself, and it's good. I think it's needed, but I think there needs to be clarity and definition on what it entails and how it plays out, and what the focus is. So if you're of the Christian faith, life isn't about you, and I think a healthy perspective for people and humanity in general, when we make it about ourselves, it's not healthy. We're not healthy people. So self-care can be looked at and defined in 2 ways. It can be self-care in enriching yourself, making yourself a more well-rounded person, taking care of your energy, and not overexerting yourself for the sake of overexerting yourself. And then there is self-indulgence, and so the self-indulgence of that can sneak in really easily, where it's like, well, I deserve this, I deserve whatever the case may be, I deserve to spend extra money tonight and go to a fancy restaurant and treat myself, we have that line where it's all about treating yourself, and I don't want to ever, and I've done it in the past, right, where I place myself on a pedestal where my happiness and contentment is the objective of my life. And I don't think, from my perspective, that is a healthy place for people to be. I don't think that good comes from that state of mind, of that perspective, whether in Christian faith or in humanity. The people that I see play out in a very it's about me way aren't healthy people. So the self-indulgence versus self-care, and I think I mentioned this a little bit in a past video about streaming shows. There's so much media that you can consume, and it's something that other people have put work into, and you're kind of being entertained. Nothing wrong with entertainment, but when the goal of the entertainment is to cope or to zone out, it can be a very dangerous place to be, as far as, is it actually restoring yourself? Is it actually making you a healthier person? Is it filling up the well of energy inside of you? Or is it a band-aid? Is it an unhealthy coping mechanism? So I would say you have to be cautious about that. I would love to hear what you guys think. Self-indulgence, self-care. There are times where I have to say no to certain things. Like I can overextend myself in social circles, or even in just my generosity with my talents and resources. And sometimes I have to learn to say no, because for me to be healthier and more sustainable, I have to say no. So there's a difference between that and making it about self. Like, no, I'm about me. And even little things that we can get caught up in, as far as, and I've been known to do this, where I'm having a tough week or a tough day or a tough month, tough year, whatever the case may be, and I say, I deserve this. I deserve to go out and spend some extra money, do a shopping spree, go vinyl record hunting, and not stop at 1 or 2 records, but 3 or 4. Like, I deserve to spend X amount of dollars on this album because I've had it rough. I deserve it, and it's not healthy. It's not a healthy coping mechanism. And the same thing with streaming, or with anything really. Like, what are you being excessive about for your own focus, and focusing on you and what you want? Again, especially if you're of Christian faith, you open up scripture from front to back, and there's not a lot of room for self-indulgence. There's not a lot of room for not having others in mind. There's a lot of scripture that says put others before you, to focus on things not of this world, but of spiritual kingdom nature. And then there's the difference between, and this is where, like, when I'm doing these segments, when I'm talking about habits and goals and vision, these are not bad things. These are part of why I'm doing these videos, but I want to make sure that I am helping people spiritually, emotionally, physically enrich their lives, as opposed to development or improvement or success, because those things are fleeting, and I'm moving away from it being about success and being about the ones and zeros, and keeping up with the Joneses. That's such an old phrase. I don't know if anybody actually uses that phrase anymore. But the idea of being invested in life, as opposed to investing in things to make yourself feel happy or good, or zoning out. There's so much research about, like, our minds and the way our minds work, and the different triggers and different chemicals that get sent for different activities. But then we go to these, especially dopamine hits, where we do these easy dopamine hits, like we're scrolling Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or Snapchat or whatever our case may be, and we're looking for whatever is going to give us that hit, which is very dangerous. And we think, oh, I deserve to zone out for a minute. I deserve to do this. I deserve to stream. I deserve to whatever. And we have to be careful about that entitlement. So self-indulgence, self-care is a fine line, but I would love to hear what you guys think, because it's a big topic. And then like how much success is enough success? Like, how much can a person do and to be fulfilled? Like, we have these dreams and goals, and being able to be content within ourselves without any success. Like, you take away the success, are you still a whole person? Like, you have somebody like Tom Brady, arguably the greatest of all time when it comes to football, and he's got, I don't even know how many Super Bowl rings now. And the thing is with him is there was a point in an interview that he's like, is this all there is? Like he tried to retire. He went home to his model wife with his $1 million, with his kids and his family, and like all of the networking and resources that he has, and he's still not content. He still like has this drive to prove himself. So I think we have to be cautious and realize, like, no matter what we do, no matter what we obtain, it's not going to be enough. It's there's a different rubric on how to determine if we're enjoying life, and if our life is fulfilling, and if our life matters. One of the things that when I'm talking about life matters is, so I'm big on the Enneagram. More to come on that, but the Enneagram is like a personality test type thing, but it's really, I think it's a huge resource tool for people wanting to understand themselves and understand the world around them. And but I happen to be a 4 on the Enneagram scale, and 4s deal a lot with significance. Go figure. But I started this thing. I was shopping. I got this thing for free. It's just a calendar, little date book at a store I was at, and I grabbed it, threw it in the bag because it was free. But the one thing that I realized that I started putting into place in this cheap, free, whatever resource is, I'm just doing a check mark for every day of significance on a monthly calendar, and then on the yearly, and then being able to gauge where I'm at and what I'm spending my time on, what I'm spending my resources on, and resources being time. Again, we're only given so much time. We don't know how much time we have left on this earth or in our lives, and people around us pass away, and it makes it more somber of we aren't guaranteed tomorrow. So making sure that I'm being diligent with what I've been given, and with the moments that I have with the people that I love, and so then I make a check mark, and I might make a note of what the thing was that stood out to me. But again, and I'm giving you guys resources, the things that I do, and just making marks and little statements about what it was that stuck out, because I don't want to get to the end of my life and say, I watched a whole bunch of Netflix, and that was the legacy of my life. That was the most fulfilling thing. That was the memory. Or video games, or listening to music, going to concerts, going to happy hour, with friends or whoever, going to the bars every weekend, or going to church and serving at the same church for the same thing and welcoming the same people, whatever it is. I have no idea where we stopped recording. My card was full. My SD card was full. I was not paying attention when I started recording. I should have checked the camera settings to see how much time I had left on my card. So I have no idea where we're at. I think I was talking about significance. I think I was talking about the fact that I have this book right here. This little free calendar that I check mark things that of significance on each day, so that I know if I'm being appropriately diligent and with my time and the resources I have been given, because I don't know how long I have here on Earth. I don't know how long. We're not guaranteed tomorrow. So being able to have a place, a quick reference where I can just see it, and I'm a very visual person, so I look and I'm like, whoa, there's 2 weeks of my life that I wasn't being significant at all, and I didn't feel, and it's not huge, moments of significance. Like, one of the things that I put on the list for significance recently was getting my inflatable kayak out, going to a float-in movie with a couple of guys I know, and we just went and saw the Mighty Ducks. And it was the first time. It was an adventure thing, but I look at that as a moment of significance, and as a moment that I can acknowledge, like, something significant happened. I've had other times where those type of things are like, you'll have one time that you'll go out for coffee with a friend, just be a coffee with a friend, and then there's another time that there's something significant that happens. There's connections, there's it's just a different level of value, and that's something important to me as an Enneagram 4. What's up? But when I'm talking about the even like Enneagram, and so there's 9 numbers, and there's different layers of that. There's different ways that plays out in different people's lives. There's different combinations. It's like I said, it's a beautiful resource, a beautiful tool. I'll talk more about it in other segments for sure. But whether it's the Enneagram, whether you've heard about the love languages, whether you've heard about Strength Finders, there's Myers-Briggs, there's all of these different resources that help us process who we are, how we interact with the world. Any of those resources outside of Christ, and outside of faith, and outside of the perspective of a larger truth being in the world, can be very selfish and self-fulfilling. Again, it's the same thing what I was talking about with the self-indulgence versus self-care, is love language, for example, that you can say to a significant other, you can say to your friends, you can say to your colleagues at work, and you say, well, I accept love this way, and if you don't love me like that, then you're doing it wrong because it's about me, as opposed to saying, here is the clarity of how the world works, how I work. I need to monitor this within myself, and then also being able to be others focused and saying, like, oh, this is how that they accept love, this is how they give love, and being more knowledgeable and more aware of what's going on around you in your world. So all of these tools can still be a selfish motive, or it can be a selfless motive. It can be something that is enriching our lives as a whole and as a community, or it can be very self-centered, and that's just not something that I want to be about. I don't want my life, and I don't want the lives of my friends and families to be self-centered. I want it to be something bigger, something more valuable, and not. I mean, we all know selfish people. We all know selfish people that all they see is themselves. All they care about is themselves and what they look like and what they possess, what they own, their success story. And I don't want that for people. I want us to be able to look into tools, look into habits, look into things that will help us be more well-rounded people. I want to be a more well-rounded person, and I want to get you guys along for the journey, and being able to say what's significant. For me, when I'm saying this is important to me, this is important to who I am as a person, is significance. So it means doing videos like this and saying this is something that I value, and this is something that I want to give to the world. And it's not about like the accolades or the response of it. It's about trying to help enrich others, and in a way that's authentic to myself. That's the thing, is this feels, in this time, at this moment, in this era, season of life, that this feels very authentic to me. So this is what I'm doing. So I got thrown off a little bit because the video cut out. So hopefully that all makes sense. But yeah, I don't know. I do think on a spiritual front that one of the goals, one of the things that points of focus for a spiritual goal or a discipline or something just to have attention on, is that scripturally, when you look at the Bible, when you look at the truth of mankind, that there is an element throughout, from the front page to the back page, of community and people having community, having fellowship with each other. So I would encourage, if you're looking to be spiritually healthy, to also be invested in community, and being able to surround yourself with people and not become isolated. Some of the examples throughout Scripture show a deep connectedness to somebody else when people are healthy. You think about the disciples, you think about Jesus with them in that bond, you think about the three that were significant to Jesus that he took on separate journeys for separate things. You think about Paul and Barnabas and the partnership they had, then Paul and Timothy. You think about these examples, and David and Jonathan. There's significance and importance and a value to community, and I think that's something that's significant and important to all mankind, and how we're wired as human beings. Is there something, whether it's you're extrovert and there's a lot of people, or you're introvert and there's just this select few, there's something about doing life with other people that we can't. There is no exception for. There is no nothing like it. So being able to find a community and dive into community and stay invested in community day to day. I think it's in Hebrews where it talks about don't neglect meeting together, and that's in a spiritual sense. But I also think in a physical sense, in a relational sense, like healthy people are invested in community. So doing what you can to be a person of community and diving into that front, and not like Because sometimes we're like, well, I'm going to serve, or I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to give people these monies and gifts or time or whatever those love resources, because then if I do that, then I have them and they have to accept me, and or maybe finally they'll love me, or maybe they'll finally respect me, or maybe I'll finally have the power or influence that I want. And that's horrible. We don't want to do that. We want to be real honest with our motives for that connection, and being able to be open with our ideas, with our values, and then stepping into that space with open hands for community, whether that's coffee, whether that's a happy hour, whether that's serving at a church. Whatever that looks like for you is being able to be invested there. And it's not just doing activities. It's not just the things, because people can show you just one facet of themselves. Like if you're just the soccer mom and you're just at the games, or you play basketball with a crew of guys and you see each other every Thursday at this point, and that's all you ever see. I don't think that's a real life. It's very like you're choosing to show people only so much of yourself, instead of diving into community and getting to know people, and just being able to have fellowship. I think fellowship and community, those two words go together really well. But then scripturally, in faith communities, it's so valuable, and it doesn't always play out very well. There's a lot of churches that don't do community well. It's just a country club, right? And it's just polished. Let me show you why I'm happy and why you're not, and that's awful too. Don't do that. I've been rambling. I feel like I'm rambling on this one, but that's okay. So I hope you guys have a great week. I hope you do meet people in your life that you can connect to and see as valuable in your life. You can have moments of significance that you can begin to incorporate different dreams and goals and habits, that you practice gratitude, practice writing down what is important and what's happening, that you can find contentment in your life specifically, not just water, air, food, housing. Those things are great. We want to acknowledge those things, but what is significant and important to you individually, personalize it. And and I will see you guys soon. I am so excited for things to share, things that are on the docket to get into your hands. Excited to continue to do these Coffee with Clint segments. It'll be a little bit busy over the fall just because of all the weddings and different projects around the school. But we will get together soon for more coffee. Until then, 3 goals: physical, emotional and mental, and spiritual. And contact me if you need me, because I care about you guys. I might not know you, but I care about you, and I'm willing to help you out however I can. I'll see you soon.